Okay, this video is to help you figure out how to run SQL queries in Microsoft Access. We will be using Microsoft Access for assignment number 3, and we will run SQL queries in Microsoft Access. It doesn't really matter which database you use. SQL is the same for all databases. So what you learn in this class, you'll be able to take to any other database like Oracle or Microsoft SQL Server and use SQL in those databases. But we're going to use Access. So the first thing you have to do is log into Blackboard, go to Lessons, and we need to download the database. I've created myself a little folder here called CIST 1220 to keep all my files in. So that's the folder that I have for the database. So I am going to go ahead and download the database, go to week number 3. Under week number 3, there's a item called Database for Assignment Number 3, Registration Database. Go ahead and click on that to download. Save file. Make sure you save it to your desktop, CIST 1220, or wherever you're saving your stuff. And go ahead and hit save, and it should show up in my folder. There it is. Now to run the database, I just double click on the file, and it opens up the database. I say open, and we see our database. So you should look around the database a little bit. Notice the tables. We have a courses table. Courses has 4 columns. Course ID is the primary key, and the other columns that are there. The students table has a primary key of ID. We have 16 students, first name, last name, all kinds of columns there as well. So take a look around, look at the tables, get familiar with them. But here is how to run an SQL query in Access. To get to the SQL window, you have to click on Create, Query Design. It'll pop up a window, and it'll also pop up this little dialog box, and you hit Close. Now we have a Query 1 window. To be able to type in our SQL code, we got to right-click on that window and hit SQL View. That will take us to the query window, the SQL window, and we can go ahead and type in our code. So let's type in a simple query and see how this works. So I'm going to say select star, which means select all columns from the students table where state equals Georgia. Now I got to use single quotes around Georgia because Georgia's a string in the database, or char. And so I have to put single quotes around it. Always use single quotes around everything that's a string or char or varchar data in Microsoft Access or SQL. Microsoft Access will let you use double quotes. I will take off points if you use double quotes because no other database allows you to use double quotes. Oracle, SQL Server, you must use single quotes. I want you all to get used to using single quotes all the time. So there's my query. And I'm going to go ahead and run it. To run it, you go up to the title bar up here and you hit the run exclamation point, and it runs it, and it gives us 4 students from Georgia: James Henry, Betsy Cook, Susan Jones, and Larry Hines. To get back to the SQL window, you just right-click SQL View, and you're back to the window. If I want to change something, let's say I want to see how many students are from California, I can switch it to be select star from students where state equals California, and run that. And there's only 2 from California, Tony Danza and Larry Peters. Again, to go back to the SQL view, right-click on the window title bar and hit SQL View, and it takes you back here. If you make a mistake, like let's say we put student table instead of students table, when we run, we will get an error message, and it says the Microsoft Access database engine cannot input the table student. That's because we typed it wrong. So you just say, okay, and you try to figure out what went wrong. You look over here and you see students with an S, so you put the S on it, on the end of students, and you run it again. And go back to SQL View. So that's how you run Access and SQL queries in Access. Hope this video is helpful. Thank you very much.